So Erick Sermon recently sat down with Willie D in Houston before a concert show that they were doing together. And this clip is Erick talking about how music is falling off and the ramifications of the moment music being created. So let's listen to this and discuss.
The 80s and then the late 80s, the 90s, 2000s. See, we was doing the right culture, doing hip hop, rhyming, beats, samples. All of a sudden, like you said before, what happened? Just changed. Not that you mad, the change was good, but then it got really bad until we end up here now. They call it the mad rapper because we older. It's not hatred. I'm in Houston right now with Willie D. This is 36 years. You're not gonna be able to do that because you didn't make records to do that. So if you don't have any money, young people, how are you gonna eat? The records that you are making is not gonna be able to transcend for 10, 15, 20, 30 years so you can possibly work and get a gig. At that age of 40 years old, when they got married and they got children and they in school or they got a 9 to 5 or they in church and they're gonna match. You didn't make any music to transcend for you to have a career. Wouldn't you be scared of that?
Yeah.
Would you be scared of that?
The boogeyman is coming.
Yeah.
Erick Onassis.
Yeah, this is things that we've alluded to a lot of times. I hate to sound like the old head in that sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's making valid points as far as making music that's going to stand the test of time. We've had many of discussions about moment music and people making music that's only going to hit for this summer, and people might play it for a hot second just to get that little piece of nostalgia back. But what does that mean when people grow up? Now, granted, there are anomalies in here because I can put on some Too Short right now, and Too Short is talking about freaky tales, and everybody in the club has kids or kids on the way. Some might even have grandkids, and everybody's loving what Too Short is talking about. But that's Too Short. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not about to be about we popping Xans and whatever pill or popular street drug is going on right now, and talking about I'm on demon time and this, that, and the other to this chick. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of ignorance in the music, and it's not elevating. It's not graduating to the next level. That's why I appreciate artists that do make those different transitions album to album. Sounds like they're growing because they want to focus on the musicality of their career. They want to be able to keep on doing this. So yeah, I totally feel what he's saying.
Okay.
In a way, I don't. Just because the music that at one point seemed silly and trivial, like you said, you alluded to Too Short. You know, now I can go to a black tie event and the DJ will play, you know, Back That Ass Up, which might have seemed just silly and trivial to somebody who was 40 or 50, 45, 50 years old at that time. And that music has stood the test of time. We don't know exactly what's going to stand up and what's, you know, we'll hear something like that is like, that's stupid, but it's not, it's going to, and it's for 18-year-olds. And you just never know when they get to be 38, 50, it might still be something that stands the test of time, because it's now there are things from that era, that same era where Juvenile was out, to where like if you played them for a room full of people who are now in their 50s, it doesn't stand up. You know, we just never know. I think, and might be kind of a controversial thing, it's especially when he's talking about people making performances and trying to live off of it. It's going to be a little harder for some of these female artists, because I mean, you talking about all this wild stuff and I can do this to you and this, that, and the third, and then you're going to be a 48-year-old woman trying to say that same thing on stage, and it's going to be like, get away from here. You know, it's like, you know, real raunchy sex rhymes don't transcend the time for women. And once again, this is something I've talked about before. Unfortunately, we don't let women grow up in hip hop. How we met you is how we want you to be going forward, even if it doesn't work for you anymore. If you try to grow up, you either have to transition into like acting or some other, you know, maybe you do a jazz album like Queen Latifah. You know, you can't be the rough and rugged girl or the girl who's oversexed and wild you know, after, you know, 25 years in the game. And it's unfortunate sometimes we let men be silly into their 40s and 50s, but we don't let women do that. So all these artists right now, I hope they find a way to figure it out, like the Glorrillas, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Sexy Reds, because in 20 years, it's going to, like, we already to a certain extent judge them for their appearance and their subject matter. And then it's like, okay, we can dismiss it. Some people can dismiss it because we're like, they're young. But when you're still trying to pull this same thing off in your mid 40s, it's unfortunate. It's sad. I remember Lil' Kim put out a record and she's still talking about the wild things she can do sexually and it's like, nobody's trying to hear that from no 40-year-old, you know, mother. And it's unfortunate.
Somebody is.
Do you even remember the album I'm talking about?
Nah, I'm just talking.
There you go. So
I'm going to go on record to say that I probably only listened to one Lil' Kim album, though, my whole life.
I mean,
I've probably listened
one
to
album.
two.
I listened to her first one and then the third one, La Bella Mafia. That was dope.
I've not listened to.
You know, the Notorious K.I.M. She could have kept it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that, you know, we never know exactly what's going to transcend. You know, I'll take it away from rap. I'll take it away from women. And, you know, there's probably somebody who heard Candy Girl and thought it was a novelty record, and that's it. And now that group is in Vegas doing a residency.
I wouldn't put Candy Girl.
Listen to Candy Girl. If you listen to Candy Girl and you are 35, you're like, all right, whatever.
I wouldn't put Candy Girl in that.
I probably wouldn't either.
I wouldn't use that as an example.
It's a little different.
Did you think they were going to be around for? Did you think someone who loved the Temptations heard Candy Girl and thought that was going to last for another 40 years?
I don't think it bothered them though. Like I think what he's talking about in a sense is people that make this music that is just not going to do it for you as a grown person. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
the part.
The content that I'm talking about, I don't know, man. I can't really describe the words that I'm looking for.
I think
but
he's speaking on. I think he's speaking on kind of the moment music,
Yeah.
the stuff that's being created by people that aren't necessarily musicians, people or people that really have any grand desire to be rappers. You know, it's just like it's a means to an end to a degree.
Yeah.
And they found a little bit of success. That's what I think he's alluding to. I could be wrong.
But he's saying, I think he may be alluding to that, but he's also talking about people that are looking to have a career. And to their defense, a lot of them don't care about having a career.
That's different.
They just want to get in, get their bag, and transition it to something else. But like as far as like a lot of the content wise, I can't see myself riding around listening to any of this with kids. You know what I'm saying? Like even Back That Ass Up, you can play that at a wedding and it is mild to today's standards. You know what I'm saying? Like if I play Back That Ass Up versus WAP.
I've heard WAP at a wedding though.
You might have, but the kids probably was gone. I can comfortably play Back That Ass Up.
There's a Back That Thing Up.
Yeah, because I was about to say they can just play the Back That Thing Up. Even Blow the Whistle, I can play the edited out version. I'm not gonna play Freaky Tales with a bunch of kids in there. But I mean, there's certain music that just does not sit right with your spirit, essentially, that you would even want to be doing it when you're grown.
Terry made a good point. Terry made a good point. He said, "You have an anomaly. There's a couple that might, quote unquote, slip through the cracks, if you will. We're in an era right now where there's a great sample size of we gonna see. Like we're in an era right now where there's a lot of we gonna see. 10, 20 years from now, we gonna see." To what Erick Sermon is talking about. And somebody in the comments put, and I didn't even think about this, but this was the perfect person to mention. And I was going through the comments on the Willie D post for YouTube, and they said, what's my girl's name? My Neck, My Back.
Kaya.
They was like, yeah, but she out here still performing. I'm like, nah, fam.
She can perform that song.
Thank you. Like that's the point. That's what he's talking about.
That song would even. But when I heard, I was like, "Ain't nobody gonna care about the song in no 20 years."
But bro, there were people that thought when that mug came out, there's always a section of people.
I can't say that, Mike.
Here's my thing. Here's why I'm saying that because that song was not small. That was a big record, bigger than I thought it was going to be.
I'm saying I don't see just because it was big at the time. I don't see people thinking that this is about to be that one for life. I don't think anybody thought that, bro.
Well, who are the people that are showing up when she's still performing? Who are those people?
I mean, Dim Franchise Boy played Treese this year.
They did.
I mean,
They played it.
and I kind of laughed when I saw it initially, but it seemed to do decent. So,
Because
It did decent, didn't it?
you know
I think
why?
so.
Because music, once again, music marks time different for different people.
yeah.
Okay?
That's true. That's
so I could be completely wrong. It might be, Glorilla might be 45, 50 years old, still be out here to do TGIF.
Hey, man, 45-year-old women still want to get down.
Yeah, man.
You know,
He's right, though.
but
He's right.
I mean,
He's right.
like
They got
now,
OF pages.
yeah,
Huh?
They got OF pages too.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a smart man.
I wouldn't know. No.
Yeah, I said,
No, but-
I said a grown folk.
But,
Yeah, well, I said a
but
grown folk.
the
business.
thing is, like, I'm getting ready to do the music for my friend's day after Thanksgiving party. Okay, at this point, we all pushing 50. These are doctors, lawyers, architects, and engineers.
Curating out here now in these
yeah.
streets.
They
That's what
like
I
to do those things too.
And the thing is, like, you know, of course, we do the music from our era. And
Yeah.
when we was maybe in high school and going into college, then we do like our club era.
Yeah.
And then like there is just a ratcheting that I throw in there as well. You know, and so
Playboy Cardi.
Don't do that, Long. Don't do that.
but, you know, but like you know.
Stop.
But I'll ask, you know, I'll say, hey, which is there a particular song you want? And it's always something like this is somebody who is a partner at her law firm. And, you know, there are just certain ratchet. Look, it doesn't mean she don't want to hear bitches ain't shit by off the
absolutely.
Chronic. Exactly, because that's a classic for our era.
It is.
And so when we see these songs that we think are ridiculous, we can't mark younger people's time and how they're going to feel about things when they get to their era. They might pay to see Big Boogie do it. I think those songs suck. You know, but it doesn't matter because they're not for me. They're for people who are between probably 18 and 29 at best. And so when his songs come on in 20 years, he'll probably still be able to get out there just like Tone Loc and Young MC and all these people can and Hammer. All these people can still get booked. There were people at the time who did not care for their music.
But did you hear the examples that he used and the words that he said? Hammer don't apply to that. Tone Loc don't apply to that.
He didn't say artist. He wasn't artist specific at all.
No, he didn't say artist, but I'm talking about when he talked about ass and all the rest of the stuff. That's not Hammer and them. That's not Tone Loc.
Did he talk about ass though?
He said that. Like he alluded to
I cut it
they're not
out.
going to be talking.
Yeah, no, I saw the whole
Long cut
clip.
it out, but he said they're not going to be talking about this. They're not going to be talking about
You
that.
think they won't?
What I'm saying is what he says based off 20, 30 years from now, if you project it out, who's going to want to pull up? That's all he's saying. Because to his point, call it what you want. EPMD can go out right now and go somewhere and that mug is going to mug.
You
And
gotta
so
have
can them
more.
franchise boys.
And so can Ice Cube. Ice Cube has been
He's about to
married.
drop a new album.
Ice Cube has been married to the same woman for 30 plus years at this point.
You can
He is
make
a
a-
straight family man.
You can
and
make-
you know what? He can still get out there and spit that gangster.
You can make an argument that the stuff that Ice Cube was talking about back then is relevant right now.
Yeah, because he got on this political era too, though.
Thank you. You can
And
make
he was still on this bullshit. But in the same token, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen 10, 15, 20 years from now. I can tell you artists that have not made it
talk to
from
him.
10, 15, 20 years ago because their music was shit or trash. Some of their content wasn't even that. It just, they weren't that good.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it didn't transcend until now. So, I mean, I understand what he's saying, but like you said too about a lot of these, the women artists, we'll see.
We gon-
Lil'
we-
Kim
we
still
gon'
out here
see.
getting it. She's still touring, and I don't know if she's touring, but she's making appearances here and there. But I mean, I don't know. That's not my angle. I don't really care to go listen to a whole lot of that shit anyway. Like I said, I've probably heard one Lil' Kim album. I've heard one Foxy Brown album.
I was a Foxy fan, so you know I know her catalog a little bit better.
Appreciate you being honest, bro.
I thought the second album wasn't that, you know, but the third album, Broken Silence, I was into it.
I've probably rocked two, the one you mentioned and the first one.
But
La Bella Mafia.
at the same time, with all this being said, I don't know if like as much as I like Erick Sermon and as much as I want to believe the things that he's saying because they sound right and they align with what the things that I believe, like I just don't really believe that it's just the reality. Because again, Chingy's still out here performing, probably. I'm
Yes,
sure
he
Lil
is.
Flip's out. I'm sure Lil Flip's out here doing things.
I mean, he's from Houston. That's all he need.
I'm sure them franchise boys are still doing stuff. Obviously, like these artists that I am perfectly confident in saying that I made fun of when they were out and because they were trash.
South Star ain't out here getting it.
I don't know who they are.
Exactly.
So I mean, I know who they are, but I don't know who they are.
Icons.
The for real hip hop Dalmatians.
Yeah.
Icons aren't really out here doing much.
Maybe they are in like Miami or something though.
Good job
I
on
don't
that.
know. But I guess what I'm saying is like if you, who's to say?
I know.
Who's to say?
Look, they
what I
had-
mean? and even still, what's the solution?
Now,
There is no solution. There is no solution.
There is no solution.
There's no solution for people's taste and what stands the test of time for them.
I think Eric. I think he's taking Lone. I think he's honestly saying this from a percentages standpoint. I don't think he's saying
percentages
it ain't gonna
what?
Here's what here's what I mean when I say that. I think he's saying more than likely it's not going to translate, but there's a chance, like you talked about with the anomaly. I don't think he's saying the door is closed and it's just not going to work. I didn't take it that way.
The thing about this, so like I understand both sides of it because we live in a time and space now where everybody's moral compass is going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So things are being accepted more. Things make more sense now. Things that you couldn't do 10 years ago are now perfectly normal. There's things that you could do 10 years ago now are shunned upon. So it depends on where everybody's moral compass is for the time and the era and how, I don't know, we evolve as a people and decide what's going to make it or not. I don't know. I mean, but
because today's listener is not the listener when they first came out, to your point.
Absolutely not,
So,
because EPMD didn't even make that kind of music to where it would be questionable.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same token, you saying they can go out and get a bag.
They can.
They ain't about to pack an arena.
Nope.
Unless they're with a gang of other people from their era. They're not going to do it on their own.
No, they're not.
That's fair.
Look, all I know is somebody met their wife and their first dance that they first danced to was back that ass up. And so that is going to mark
Hey man,
time
you
for
can't
them.
prove that. I'm just
So
you're probably right, low-key.
I'm just saying the same way like somebody might have said at that time, be like, it's not like when, I danced with my wife the first time to My Girl. I was like, yeah, because that's what was out. My Girl was out. And when Back That Ass Up was out, it marks time the same way as My Girl does to somebody else in another
evolution versus. But either way,
call it what you want. I mean,
shout out to
call it what you want. They still married.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah,
it can go both ways.
I feel him, no, but there's some gray area there. I feel
there's absolutely some things that are not going to make it. I'll say that.